Sometimes you meet someone who loves what they do. Then sometimes you meet someone who loves what they do so much that it just bubbles out of them all over the place. That's Cathryn Abeyta. She's the executive director for San Juan United Way, and she is a great big bubbling cloud of enthusiasm. I mean, really. She's as cute as a button, sharp as a razor, and has as much energy pouring out of her as the sun. We're going to talk about San Juan United Way because even though the past year has been flowing over with craziness and so many people were and still are hurting in so many ways because of it, the San Juan United Way managed to raise over $1 million to distribute to local charitable organizations. There are so many generous people and organizations in this community, and Cathryn has about 1 million stories she can tell you about how that generosity is making a real, tangible, life-altering difference in the lives of those who need it most in our community. But the mission is never complete, so I'm glad Cathryn is at the wheel, steering us toward doing even better. I'm going to stick her in the truck and try to bottle some of that enthusiasm for you today. Want to see how it goes? Come along for the ride in Ken's Think Tank. Ken's Think Tank is made possible by the following sponsors. Ken Collins Marketing. It's simple. We help small business owners get more customers. Cathryn Abeyta. Is that how you say that?
It sure
Am I
is.
saying that right?
You sure are.
I butcher so many people's names.
Well, Abeyta is a hard one. I get a lot of weird ones.
So, you are the hold on, let me try not to kill us here. And you actually just told me you're the executive director.
Yes.
Of San Juan United Way.
Sure am. Proud to be.
What does an executive director of San Juan United Way do?
Oh, well, I can tell you what I do. I'm sure that executive directors of other United Ways have other job descriptions, but the biggest thing that I do, really, it's what we do at United Way, is we raise as much money as we possibly can throughout San Juan County, and then we pool it all together into our community fund, and then we, with the help of community members and donors, we evaluate nonprofit agencies that make requests for that funding, and then we disperse the funding. We continue working with those nonprofits year-round to see what we can do to help get the community more involved in their work, and how can we connect business to the nonprofit sector. So that is kind of the main thing that we do. And so there's a lot of behind the scenes work, but really the big thing is connecting people to a cause they care about. And if we can do that with everyone, then every cause will be taken care of.
Right.
So it's my job to make sure that happens.
Awesome. I remember when I was at the city, and there was the United Way campaigns,
yes,
and people could fill out the form, and it would just come directly out of your paycheck and things like that. I remember doing those campaigns. I was even collecting all the slips and money and adding them up and handing them over to you.
You were one of our campaign managers.
Yeah. And so,
rock.
But even being that, I didn't fully understand like the whole thing. Actually, the money that people are donating to you, it sounds like at least the majority of that stays in San Juan County.
It sure does. The only time it goes out of the county is if on those pledge forms someone says, I'd like you to send my donation to some organization in Texas or Washington. We do that, and we honor every donation, 100% of what we receive from the donor, and so we don't take any fees out of that. And so I say every dollar that we raise for our community fund and all of our local efforts stay here. The only time the money leaves the county is if a donor asked to send it to another nonprofit out of the community. But I am so proud to say that a vast majority of people who designate choose to keep it here in our community. So just last year we had nearly $200,000 designated to about 110 local nonprofits, and those are just people saying, you know what, I care about this organization and I want $2 to be taken out of my paycheck every time for a whole year And it all adds up. And so thousands of people doing that really, I mean, not only just the community work that we're trying to do proactively, but we're a huge vehicle for so many nonprofits in the community to get more individual donations, because it's at no cost to the nonprofit, because the business community takes care of the cost. It costs nothing to them. And they just, 110 local nonprofits end up receiving funds from us every year. And so there are so many misconceptions, and I don't think most people really understand what goes on when you donate, but it's really exciting. It's exciting, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because it stays local. And there's just some incredible things happening with it.
That's very cool. Why would someone donate to the, I know that I just want, so why would someone donate to the United Way instead of just directly to these organizations?
Great question. We would absolutely encourage, if you're going to give your donation and you know who you're going to give it to and you normally do it, keep doing it that way. The United Way payroll deduction system, we want to use that to increase people's donations. That's a way that you could actually budget a whole year's worth of giving $1 at a time if you wanted. So, and statistically, when you are asking people for a donation for a nonprofit, you know, if people are to give what they have in their pocket or swipe a card, the number that people usually land on is a lot lower it's a lot lower for a one-time gift. So we actually set up the system to be able to go in 26 times. We get a donation from each person 26 times a year. And so even if somebody's donating just $5, that adds up to way more than they would have in a one swipe. So the benefit we're trying to offer is just making it easier for people to give more and budget more to donate, because you don't see it come out of your check. It's just deducted. And it also goes to show just how big of an impact you can make with a small donation over 1 year. And so we don't want anyone to stop giving directly to these incredible nonprofits. But if what you can do is you can find that actually I could give more to the nonprofit I care about by budgeting it out, or then having my spouse or another household member do it on their United Way pledge form too, you just keep adding to the generosity, and more good comes out of it. So that's really my pitch, but I certainly don't want to take any money from any other nonprofit. I want to get more going. So
yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to say spend a cup of coffee for a nonprofit once a paycheck or something like that.
And a cup of coffee is definitely something that I mean, people still translate to a cup of coffee.
Because it's like, you know, anywhere from $2 to $5. You know, and that's easy. Once a paycheck.
Well, and once, I mean, I get so geeked out over what a dollar can do, because I get to see it, and I get to see, like, wow, because someone gave $1 and 100 other people next to them gave $1 for the whole year. Incredible things are happening. And one of my, I think a very touching example of that is a few years ago, Northwest New Mexico seniors came to us, and they had federal and state and other funding that is, you know, as typical, full of red tape, and they tell you where you can spend it on and what you can't. So Northwest New Mexico Seniors is responsible for the food distribution to homebound seniors. They had everything covered except about $10,000 for the actual just plastic trays that the food gets to put on and then sealed up. So like that $10,000 enabled them to do so much more.
So cool.
There's just so much to talk about United Way, because United Way really isn't, it's not me. It's not really like, I mean, our organization is our community. It is, it's just a tangible brick and mortar, but it is represented by our entire community and in every facet. And so that to me is like, that's the cool part of my job is I'm working on behalf of this community and on behalf of the people who are in the most need and need more services. And so we're able to help identify, because of our partnerships with these organizations we provide funding to, we're able to be, you know, read the pulse of the community and stay on top of what's needed. And we have just so many awesome opportunities for advocacy and just so much that, like, I could talk forever about it. But like the thing is, it's the community. I mean, we have hundreds of companies and workplaces around the county that invite us in every year to do this.
Yeah.
And like, it's not us. I mean, I donate, but my donation alone could never do these things. It's because it's added.
Right.
It's added to the pool
It's
with
multiplied.
thousands of others, and that's the stuff.
Right.
So
You're kind of a vehicle that allows, maybe they don't have a system in place that could collect that.
Yes.
That $1, $2, $5 every paycheck.
yes, most agencies that we raise funds for do not have somebody in-house on their staff that is in charge of fundraising. We encourage all of our agencies, we actually are able to work with them on a monthly basis even, and encourage them to find additional streams of revenue and help increase their own individual fundraising efforts. But
Yeah.
for most of these agencies, we act as their fundraiser too. You know,
Right.
we're the ones who can tell their story because they are literally at capacity doing the work.
Yeah.
That's, to me, a huge value for our community, because they can't afford to stop doing the work to tell the story, to
Right.
raise the money, to keep doing the work and fill the needs. And
Right.
so it's a perfect partnership, and we just have, I think we have the perfect community for it. So United Way funding is so unique in that it can be used for things that make other things happen that those other funders earmark that you can't use this for. So
Right.
you know, those are really cool stories to get to hear. And so this year we thought, what are we going to do? How do we tell the community the incredible things these agencies are doing? And so we had all of them make us a 10-minute video, and they did incredible. And so we put all their videos together, and then we reached out to about 40 volunteers around the community and put together the grant review process. And our board reviews all of the agency's financials so that we can confidently communicate to the community every year that these agencies are doing great, and your donation will not
Wow.
be lost on them. And then we had these volunteers spend, you know, they had several weeks to do it because it ended up being about 3 hours worth of video that they had to go over and hear. But the feedback was awesome, and these agencies got to tell their story. And just yesterday we had our board meeting where our board approved the recommendations with no changes from the volunteers. So no board member or staff sits on that panel. So it's no staff or board member is making those recommendations. And
Very cool.
I think I would make good recommendations. It's not that. I just think that it's an awesome way to show. It's just a really awesome thing that, like, I'm not in charge of it. So even if you don't like me, don't worry.
Right.
Like, whatever the community wants is what we do.
I mean, who doesn't like you, though?
I don't know.
I mean, seriously.
Well, I don't know. Or maybe it's like, I don't know, your favorite organization's one that I don't know about or
Sure,
something. I don't know. Yeah. I think I'm pretty likable.
So
but-
do you guys have a process for, let's say I work for an employer, they're doing a United Way campaign, and I can do the paycheck thing and all that, and I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll be a part of this. I don't really know where I want it to go. I don't care. $5, here you go.
Yep.
So how does that work? If someone just wants to give and they don't really want to direct it to any general direction, just you guys figure it out?
That's literally my favorite part of the job, because that's when all my hard work has to start. Because if you don't have a specific agency in mind, then you would choose our community fund. Your donation is going to be pulled together and then distributed to 18 local nonprofits, and we call them our partner agencies, and they've just gone through a lot to become a partner agency. You know, we know their ins and outs, and and we work with them. We've worked with, I mean, some of them for 25, 30 years. And so just having that institutional knowledge of how organizations can work together and having them all at the same table has been really valuable. And so it's those core 18 that are eligible for the community fund, which would be anyone who doesn't designate their gift.
Right. And so these would be people like Big Brothers Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club, Child Haven, Sexual Assault Services, all that kind of stuff. Path, I think, is one of them.
Echo Food Bank.
Very cool.
Yeah, in New Beginnings, there's so many. Red Cross. There's so many programs, and the part about all of them is together they all do something different and cover the whole county. And so there's not a duplication in services there, and they're all so fundamental to creating a healthy safety net for our community.
Right.
We fund a program at Echo where they fill backpacks with non-perishable and easy to prepare foods. They fill these backpacks every week, and they go out to schools, and the schools have their own, they have a counselor, a teacher, somebody who's able to identify children who need to take food home over the weekend. And then they bring the backpacks back, and it's in a discreet backpack so kids don't know what's going on. But, you know, like we've even seen, when I first started, we got a letter from a girl that, we got to see this letter from a girl. It was actually sent to Echo by way of a principal at a local middle school, and it was in cursive too, which I think is precious for any kid learning cursive these days. But the letter was, she noticed someone had this food backpack being sent home, and she asked if it would be all right if she could have one sent home for her and her younger sibling who was in kindergarten, because they lived at home with their grandmother who had just undergone some serious surgery and was recovering, and this would really help. I will never forget that, because to me, my kids were the same age at that time, and I just think for a kid in junior high to take on an adult responsibility like that and say, I see a solution to my problem.
Right. I think this is going to help everyone involved.
That kills me, because I want that child to just play. I want that child
not have to worry about that.
I want that child to have a fun life.
Right.
And so that is to me so powerful in why we do this, and why filling a backpack costs $15.
Yeah.
So like that girl and her sibling like found something they needed, and for someone like us, it's $15, and we could give them that, and now she can go play. She doesn't have to worry anymore.
Please stop worrying.
Please stop worrying. And there's, I mean, I hate to tell you, there's hundreds of kids every year that get those backpacks. And there's nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
I want more of them. I want them to be fully stocked. I want every kid who thinks of their next meal and worries to stop.
Right. Yeah, that shouldn't, especially as a child, that should not ever be a worry.
Right. We see this happen across the board. You know, we work closely with the schools in other ways too, even just when we look at the correlation in graduation rates. We see that kids are selecting to drop out of even middle school, and some of the reasons cited are they have to go to work. They got to earn money.
Wow.
And that can't be ignored. We can't just say, oh, that sucks for that family.
Right.
That's our community's problem.
Yeah.
You know, if a child is not able to finish getting their education so that they can support the basic needs of their household, how is that child going to be prepared in 20 years to be a member of this community? Right. It's a multi-generational problem sometimes, and so I think that's one of the powerful things about what we can do is we're looking at the issue of a community health holistically. So it's not just one size, it's not just hunger, it's not just shelter, but trying to see how can we fix some of these things. Right. So what we do is we get to tell this story to the community, and the community can decide, okay, I want to invest in that, because that's what you're doing is, I mean, sure, you're giving to charity, but you're investing in an outcome. I have a product to sell you, and it's a better life for a child in this community. You'll probably never know their name. Right. But that's what we're doing, and so many people believe in that, and that's why I think it'll be okay.
That is a really, really important point. So one, there are a ton of really generous people and organizations here. So much money is given to various, you being just one of those organizations where money is being given on a regular basis, and you get used to doing that, and you just nailed it, that you give that dollar and there is an actual real world impact that could be life-changing for a person or an animal or whatever it is, that's wherever this is going. Your dollar actually is changing someone's life.
Yes, I mean it is
powerful.
It is so important to me, and I believe it's to the core, because I literally see it.
Yeah.
It's my job to facilitate it.
Oh man, well thanks for coming on. And
Thank you so much for
chatting
inviting
about
me.
United Way. So
yes.
it filled in some of the gaps. I had some information, but it filled in some of the gaps that I had on kind of how the organization works and all that kind of thing. But I know you guys have always been doing just a ton of good in the community, and I know it stays in the community. So
yes, but that is probably one of the biggest things for people to know if they ever felt, hesitant, is that your dollar stays here unless you tell us otherwise. That is literally the only time. So,
right. It's not like this money's going off out to some bigger umbrella corporation that's going to decide where they're disseminating.
I literally write the checks to the First Tee of San Juan County, to the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, whatever they are. I write them. Like, it doesn't go out to someone else.
How cool is it to write those checks?
Oh, it's so exciting. And actually, that's why it's so crazy to say, like, oh my God, just in the pandemic, just to those core 18 agencies, we had to write over $700,000 of checks. Like, that feels so cool.
Yeah.
And
besides your hand cramping.
Well, yeah, that too. But like, it's so cool. And I'm so grateful to the community for allowing us to get to do that.
Yeah.
Because that's big. That's awesome.
It's really big.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me get to talk about United Way.
Yeah.
And, thank you so much. Thank you. You are too.
So, just keep doing what you're doing. You're so freaking cool.
Thank you for helping us tell our story. And anytime you just need me to talk your ear off about it, I'd be happy to. We've got all kinds of cool projects going on all the time. So.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, cool.
Well, it was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Ken's Think Tank is made possible with help from these fine sponsors: Basin Home Health and Hospice,